best boxing podcast in the world.
Call the cops on me. On a mission to be champs since they let me free. Prepare for combat, my adversaries crumble. Face it, I got a reputation for damage. Busters get ready to rumble. They lock me in a cell. Have me trapped in a living hell. Though not guilty, I'm still in jail. Brother, I serve my time like a soldier. Maintain composure. My shadow boxing the fight to the death. Busting boulders. Every boxer with a pair of gloves. Best give up love. Here's a man from the makings of a thug. A lethal weapon, mind sharp. And in my heart, there's a wish to shake the world with the flurry of my black fist. Now once a high school dropout. Now I'm the $1 million champ. Who's the next to get knocked out? Straight out of Brooklyn and worldwide.
What's going on, everybody? Another episode of Cheap Seats Box Show. And you'll hear my boy JP. JP, what's up, man?
Man, let's do it, man.
Can you believe it? We're back together, huh? Who knew? First things first, follow us on Twitter at Cheap Seats Box, iTunes, Apple Podcasts, rate, review. You'll be the next unofficial sponsor. We got one last week. You know that. I told you guys about that. So do that. We shout you out. Keeps the show noticeable. We filed a fifth. So it's on you guys to fucking keep the show noticeable, baby. Go out there, take the 5 seconds to rate and review it. Just helps keep the show noticeable. Subscribe on the YouTube page, and welcome to all the listeners. JP, the return of Manny, return of the pack. Manny Pacquiao gets the 7th round stoppage. Lucas Matisse, what'd you think, man?
I was hurt. I mean, it looked like he came in the fight and it looked like Matisse laid down. Like, tactically, It looked like, I didn't understand how Manny's right foot was over his left the whole fight. Even when he was walking to his left, it was the same way. I didn't understand how he was hitting like you said yesterday. Them last 2 knockdowns, I was like, seriously? Seriously? It didn't look like Matisse was there to fight. And Manny looked good, yeah, but compared to what? I guess because everybody loves the guy, so of course him looking good and winning and having a stoppage is a great thing, but that didn't look like it was competitive. That didn't look like it was supposed to be competitive when they got there. So congratulations on the win, but oh man, we need some better acting. And I'm mad at Matisse now because it broke my heart.
Like I said last week, I think this is. I really do think this is the one fighter that could get Thurman out of his hiatus. We'll see how that works because all of a sudden that went from regular to super champion. All of a sudden, I mean, and in a way you can't blame him because fucking Thurman ain't fought him forever. So I mean, if he did get relegated to champion and hiatus or whatever, however they do their bullshit. You could understand that, but going into this fight, man, I thought Pacquiao was going to win. I didn't think he'd stop him, but then again, I didn't think Matisse would quit again, and he kind of did. He kind of laid down. That's kind of what he does when he gets into trouble. The first time to quit is always the hardest, right? He already did it once, so the second time wasn't as hard. The uppercut was definitely a legit knockdown. There was nothing you could do about that. Pacquiao was setting him up. He kept on dipping down. He's like, all right, I'm just going to hit him with this uppercut. And he hit him. The second knockdown, what everybody... And I think it's because Algieri was talking about hitting him on the temple. It didn't look like he hit him on the temple. It looked like it grazed like his orbital bone. You know what I mean? And then he had flashbacks of Postal all of a sudden, and it seemed like he had to take a second to regroup, kind of think about, okay, hold on, what just happened? Okay, my eyes okay. It's kind of like the Postal thing. Like, he didn't go down because he was so hurt. He went down because it was like, I don't know if I want any more of this. Like, I don't know if I want to damage. Once he got back up, he realized, okay, my eyes okay, and then towards the end of the fight, he just realized, I can't win this fucking fight. Fuck this. I'm not going to take any undue punishment. That's what it seemed like. So congratulations to Manny Pacquiao. He looked good. There was things there that you saw that wasn't so good, but all in all, it was a pretty good performance. Everybody was saying Manny Pacquiao beat an over the hill Matisse. That would be the case if the other guy wasn't 70 fights in and 39 years old. you would kind of understand that logic, but now the aftermath with no testing, right? There's no testing. Look, Manny gets his first knockout. Kind of yeah, he got the stoppage. Was it a knockout? No. Did anybody think those last 2 knockdowns were actually legit? No. So, and all in all, he was on pace for about 600 punches this fight. Now, last fight he was kind of on the same pace and fell off towards the end, and then got to 573. So really not that much difference. And movement-wise, he had less movement in this fight than he did against Horn. Horn, he was kind of making angles. There wasn't really angles. His footwork, he was flat-footed for the most part. And I think that's where more of the power came in, was he was setting on all his punches. His punching power wasn't reliant on his speed anymore, his hand speed, as much as it was, I'm sitting down on these punches and I'm going to fucking dig in. So is it possible that he was on some? Of course. Anytime you're not testing, yeah, it's about a 50-50 that you weren't. But let's look at the fight in whole and see what that tells us. And then it tells me it's kind of the same Manny that we've seen for the last 4 or 5 years. And to be honest, I mean, he knocked down Algieri 6 times. He knocked down Bradley twice. He knocked down Jesse Vargas. He beat the shit out of Rios. Hell, he even stunned Floyd in the 4th round of their fight when he was on VADA testing or whatever. So it's whatever, man. You know, I almost stopped Horn in the 9th. You know, it is what it is. And plus, as much as everybody said that he was, I gotta stop. We're at work, so we're gonna be interrupted quite a bit. So when I hit that pause button, don't worry about that. That's all that shit is. But yeah, like I said, anytime you're testing, it's possible, but the evidence doesn't suggest. And like I was saying, people were talking about how ripped he was. I didn't see him being that ripped. I saw him actually skinnier than I remember him, and not to mention that he was eating a steak dinner the day before the weigh-in and after the weigh-in. So I mean, he's not putting on the weight like he did, and that kind of happens when you get older. When you get to about that 40 range, when you start working out, the muscle just doesn't add like it used to. That's just part of it. So I mean, he's showing the signs of aging. I don't think that he's reversed the clock on us. So, you know, if he came in there with thunderous like power and his speed was like it used to be, and he was bouncing all around and throwing 1,000 punches, yeah, I'm gonna have to call him out. But the evidence didn't suggest that that's what happened on this fight. But you know, who knows? Who really knows?
I mean, first of all, this is the biggest he's gonna get, like, in life in general, because he's always been a small frame guy. He's more bottom heavy than top heavy. Mm-hmm. So when people say he's big, either his legs get bigger, but he's always been trim, mm-hmm. in some way or another. He got big legs, you know, average size torso and a big ass head. Yeah. That's who he's always been. Short arms, like, yeah. It is what it is. You know, his power. The thing about Manny Pacquiao and power is, like you said, he put a lot of people down even when he wasn't knocking people out. The thing about it is, people seem to, how can I say this? He just doesn't trade as much as he used to. No. Like, he, you know, if he was trading with people, you would see more people, like, because you got to remember, most of the times when you knock somebody down, they refuse to trade after that. It was like, nah, that's all right. I ain't, you know, that's how we're going to let the beast out. No, you're not. You know, and I think that's the thing that's known, you know, if you fight Manny Pacquiao, if you get caught trying to trade with him, you're going to lose. For one, because you got to get close enough to trade, and he got shorter arms. So his punch is going to land before yours. Mm-hmm. The old Doc Holliday, for people who don't know Doc Holliday, you know, the Western, as far as him being a quick draw, he usually have a shorter gun than everybody. So that's why he could win. You know, they had a 6-inch barrel, he had a 4-inch barrel. That counts. You know, so it is what it is. Oh, I'm done.
Okay. We'll see what's next for him, man. We've heard everything from Thurman possibly, because, you know, the WBA belt, to Crawford, to Lobachenko, to even the quiet tremors of Pacquiao Mayweather too. Hell, they're both coming off knockouts. Who would have thought? They're gonna have to drop that shit down to 4-ounce gloves. But it is what it is. We'll see. We'll see where it goes. It was a good win. He says he wants to be back by December. We'll see, because that's right before his 40th birthday. So we'll see. We'll see what's up. At this point, I still think he's one of the top 3 or 4 welterweights. I mean, I still favor him against everybody except Spence and Crawford. He's savvy enough to be in there and be in a close fight with any top fighter, just because that's just too. When you're 70 fights in, you're a Hall of Famer. You know a thing or two how to hang until you come up against that beast, and it could be a Spence, but he'll never get in there with a Spence. Crawford, it's possible. Depends on how the money is. He wants to come back to the U.S. We shall see. I guess on the undercard of that, because it was kind of a lead-in fight on ESPN, Regis Prograis gets the stoppage. I can't remember the guy's name. I know his name was Velasco.
Yeah. Not
much to take from it. It was a homecoming fight. Went back to New Orleans. We'll see if he does that again. Because it seemed like it still was a one-time thing. He's still training here in Houston. We'll see what happens. Yeah. I mean, because as much as he is a Louisiana fighter, he really is a Houston fighter, because he's only fought and trained in Houston. I mean, as far as his training, he's fought everywhere else, but I mean, his training, he's only trained here in Houston because he picked up boxing after Katrina. So he's been here the whole time, his whole boxing career. So we'll see if he goes back. Ticket sales didn't seem like they were great. They were good, but not great. I don't even know what the size of that arena was.
It's like 3,500.
Yeah, it's not bad. Not bad. That's the problem, was he was never built as a local attraction. If he sticks with Bob can actually build up a place like New Orleans. Because the one thing Bob is good at is building hometown fighters in the hometown areas.
No, as far as the fight goes, I feel like old boy was just there to get it whipped. Mm-hmm. Because even when they was ending the fight, dude didn't want no parts of it. Because the way he was going down in the end of it, it was like, did he really hit you that hard? Or did you just say forget it? But
and be honest, it was kind of like that in the Ndongo fight.
Yeah,
Ndongo was going down quite easily.
Right. So I'm like, either he got Thanos type power, or these guys just don't want it. But as far as like the crowd, the way it's set up, you won't get a crowd in New Orleans in baseball season. But if you do it in football or basketball season, you'll get a crowd. And it's a good way to start getting his name, because people in New Orleans know who he is. Oh, yeah. But put him let him fight a day before a Saints game, or a day before a Pelicans game, or you could pack out a place with that, because people will be like, okay, we got something to kick it for the weekend and everything else, and it's entertaining. Mm-hmm. And he's hometown, but he is more here than there. Mm-hmm. But that's how New Orleans people are. Like, who? Back home? Oh, yeah, we're going to see him.
Yeah.
But don't do that shit in baseball season, because everybody's forgetting about sports there.
That's the thing, too, yeah. People who... You don't even got to be from there anymore. You can be from Houston nowadays, to know enough New Orleans people to know that, that they will support their hometown with anything. Like you said, it's about timing and placement of the fight. As far as the fight goes, I mean, come on, it was what we thought it was going to be. Yeah, the guy was undefeated. He's also 31 years old, undefeated, and nobody had ever heard of him. So, you can take it with a grain of salt. It was a record. But if I'm not mistaken, David Hay beat undefeated heavyweights when he came back from his comeback. So, I mean, undefeated record is an undefeated record. It ain't much more than that, unless you know who they're fighting and who they're beating. I can't wait to see him in the World Boxing Super Series. If they're smart, he's going to be 1 or 2. It's going to be him or Josh Taylor, 1 or 2, and they can't meet until the finals, and that's what we hope to see. It was a good performance. Here's the one thing. There's one thing you can say about him, right? And we're going to see in the World Boxing Super Series as the level of competition increases, because it's going to be it's pretty much that version of Ndongo. I don't know what to take from that. This guy was let's be honest, he was kind of a bum. undefeated record or not, he wasn't that good. But the names that they got in the tournament are a step above, I think, of what he's been fighting. So we're going to see where he goes from here. And being so young in the game, what is he, 12 years in? 13 years in? Yeah, about 13 years in. And that was just from boxing itself. Like, he had never even started until 2005. So he's still learning. He's still young, relatively young. So he has a lot more room to improve. And we'll see if that level of competition speeds up that process, that learning curve. He should have struggles, and that's good. That's what he needs. He needs struggles going forward. He doesn't need to have people he can just run through. He's not learning anything from that. And so we'll see what type of ring IQ he has. We know what kind of power he has. We know what kind of motor he has. We're going to see what kind of ring IQ. And I think that's what the World Boxing Super Series will bring out in him. And it's perfect for him. I mean, it's a perfect place to make good money, to get some exposure, because I just don't know how much this DAZN, the Zone,
Tennessee,
is going to do for him with the app that you still can't buy in the U.S. It's been announced you can't buy it still. But we'll see going forward. I mean, we don't know who his next opponent is until the draw, which is supposed to be this weekend. Friday, I think. Friday. Well, let's jump right into that then. Teofimo Lopez looked good. Slow down the hype. He's young. Let's let this level of competition go up. Let's not get too ahead of ourselves. God knows that we do that when you call the guy the next one.
That's the one thing that I don't like, but that's part of life. Boxing has a good crop of young fighters that are, in the next 5 to 10 years, they're gonna make big names for themselves. But you don't have to rush these guys. You already got guys who are just coming into their own that we were talking about years ago already. So, stop trying to push these young guys. What you're really trying to do is push these young guys out to get their lunch, get their shit handed to them by these other guys who are ready, And I know you see me, some of the younger guys challenge some of the guys a little bit ahead of them. It's like, no, let them work their way up. Mm-hmm. I get hyping people up. They're gonna, as some fighters rise, some fighters gonna fall. They're gonna have that stepping stone fighter that used to be good. It's inevitable. It's just how it goes. But don't throw these guys to the lions just yet. Yeah. Don't do it. Like everybody else had a process. You should enjoy the process with everybody else. And, because years ago, speaking about what you were speaking about with Rougarou, kind of reminds me of Spence. Because Spence started like 15, 16. Mm-hmm. So it's like, when these guys started late, just like, Salido just started fighting and say, forget it, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, he was 15 when he turned professional.
Right. So, but let's get in there, let's go. Hopkins. Like, when these guys get quote-unquote late to it, if they committed, they usually learn tricks of the trade along the way, and it makes them better. So with these younger guys, don't burn them out with the hype, because that's what happens with some people in general. They've been around, you put the hype behind them, they have a name, but then they don't work on their craft as much, or then they're too worried about, name and more worried about, they turn into Broner and Jr., Chavez Jr. Mm-hmm. They're a bigger name than they are skilled at a particular point. And then it's like, what happened? Well, what happened is they became masters at marketing, not necessarily fighting. So it is what it is.
And we'll get to Broner in a second. I forgot about that, but we'll get into that. We're talking about the draw in the World Boxing Super Series for Season 2. How about we get a finale in Season 1? The first one, maybe the only one. I don't know. We'll see if a Groves Smith fight ever happens, man. The unification, undisputed cruiserweight champion, hopefully will be. See, everybody. Hopefully will be, because there's always a chance of a draw. You never know. Will be crowned at the end of the Season 1. Alexander Usyk, the number 1 seed going in, the odds-on favorite from the beginning, against the number 2 seed, Murat Gassiev, the youngster, 25, still learning. This is it. honestly, you couldn't get a better matchup. And the names aren't the biggest, but to boxing nerds, this is probably the best fight of the year. Even better to me than Canelo and Triple G. And honestly, the winner of this probably going to be one guy, maybe my number one pound for pound guy. Maybe. Now, and there's a one reason why, and I'll explain that later. But definitely on a short list for fight of the year when you beat that high quality of a fighter. Who you like? What do you see, man? This is a tough one, man.
Shit. Oh, man. Well, I want Usyk to win, but the way they've been fighting, it's like it depends on which guys showing up with their best self, because you can see how both of them can have an answer for each other. So I want Usyk to win, but I can't necessarily say he will. The irony of this is, and it might sound so Disney, I think no matter who wins, there's going to be another rematch, of those two, because I think it's going to be such a good fight that people are going to want to see them run it back.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, I want Usyk to win. That's what I want. Don't necessarily think it might happen, but that's what I'm leaning to.
I think well, first of all, it if I'm not mistaken, the odds now are literally 50-50. It swung far for Usyk, but coming into the fight now, a lot of money is going on Gassiev. I think it's a 50-50 fight. I would say the slight favorite is Usyk, but he's not my pick to win. I've said from the beginning I think Gassiev's going to win this thing. There was a couple of reasons for it. 1, power. 2, youth. 3, the inexperience of Gassiev is actually one of the keys for him winning, because he's gotten better and better and better. He keeps growing on each fight. And because when you look, he had 25 amateur fights. He's 27 fights into his pro career. He's had 52 fights in his entire life. So make no mistake about it, he is growing in leaps and bounds in each fight. Will it be enough growth to beat Usyk this time? I don't know. But I'll tell you this, if they fought 4 times, I don't know who's going to win this fight. But I almost guarantee you I know who's going to win the next 3. I would pick Gassiev for the next 3 because he's getting better and better and better. And to me, Usyk is at a ceiling. This is it. This is as good as he's going to be. He may keep where he's at for many years. But this is, what is he, 30 years old now? I think about 30. Great amateur background. But this is who he is. And as much as he is skillful for a 200-pounder, his defense is quite overrated. He gets hit a lot. He got hit a ton against Bradis. And he's going to have to use a lot of movement. I think more movement than he wants to. Because if he tries to stand and trade or sit against the ropes and make a miss, I think that's a recipe for disaster for Usyk.
Could you stop swaying my pick?
But I think the power of Gassiev will come through. I think he'll hurt him a couple times. He's got the hometown advantage. You got the home field advantage. It's in Moscow. It's in Russia. He's home. They don't like the Ukrainians too much, so. Could the scorecards be funny? Absolutely, it could be, which could also lead perfectly into a rematch, right? If it's a controversial win. But I think Gassiev will do enough. I mean, to me, Bradis won 5 rounds against Usyk. Some people say Usyk won more. Let's play like this. And this was the key to me looking inside the numbers, was that Bradis outlanded Usyk in power shots in 8 of the 12 rounds. And if Gassiev does that can be big time trouble. Now, Gassiev is also a little bit more flat-footed, a little slower, so there's no reason that Usyk couldn't take advantage of that, box around him, pile up rounds, do all that, and build a nice, solid early lead. And and get a nice tight decision. Now that would be everything on the up and up. And when we make picks, we base it on the up and up. Every now and then you'd be like, I think he may win, but he ain't gonna get that decision. That's pretty much a Canelo fight. But I've been saying this. I thought Gassiev was going to win from the beginning, even though he wasn't the favorite. And I think he's gotten better and better in each fight. I mean, if he does this, he will have gone through Lebedev, Wlodarczyk. Now, and there's another thing. Gassiev is the only person in either final to not pick any of his fights, because the Wlodarczyk pick was a mandatory. He didn't even get to pick it. So he hasn't even got to pick who he's fighting. He just got to look at the draw, whatever it was. Lebedev, Wlodarczyk, Dorticos, and now Usyk. Now he unifies this division. Undisputed champion at 53 total fights in his career. I said this on Twitter. I think it surpasses what Inoue and what Lomachenko has done, because longer amateur careers, shorter professional careers. Now Inoue not as much, but he's in the triple digits. Lomachenko was about 400 almost amateur fights. So to me, this would surpass them, because just that is almost incomprehensible. The 52 total fights in your entire career, and now you're already a unified champion and going for undisputed champion. I hope he does it. I'm not confident. I wouldn't bet on the pick. Let's put it like that. But I'm going to lean Gassiev. I'm going to say he's going to win 115, 112, because I think he's going to get one knockdown of Usyk, because Usyk does get hit enough. But honestly, if it's in reverse, I'm not shocked, man. Yeah. All I know is I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait for this fight.
Yeah, that's the thing. Where I got to take in home field advantage. Mm-hmm. And when you're at home, you get some of the calls that you wouldn't get anywhere else. So, I want him to win in general, but because he's home, I could see 116, 114. But I can also see a blowout that you'd be like, who the hell is...
Yeah.
What are y'all seeing? Because I don't think Gassiev is going to really have to wash him and drop him a few times for them to just say, look, man, he didn't. He won the fight. And that's the thing. Like, even though I want Usyk to win, all the cards are really in his favor. This is something that you could see coming, but at the same time that I'm thinking about it, Gassiev knows this already. It's like, I got to beat this dude down, right? I got to really whip his ass, right? He's got to come out there, like we were talking about with Bradis. Mm-hmm. When Bradis started strong with Fade, he got to start strong and stay strong. And he has the youth to do that, so it's going to get interesting.
Now, the people who said that they thought that there was kind of a fix in, like some shady business going, because I've heard that a lot, because it moved from Saudi Arabia to Moscow, and look, to me, you just got to use a little bit of common sense. And we know a lot of these Middle Eastern countries are always, they're going to have a fight, and the funds are hardly ever secured. They have a lot of money, but they don't like sharing a lot of money. They like spending it on blowing hookers. That's what they do, even though they're not supposed to. That's what they do.
They don't pay the hookers. They just say they gonna pay the hookers.
That's what I mean. There you go. See, that's how they stay rich, right? And I would think that Russia would be the place where you could get the money, because for whatever it is, Russia will div out the money for boxing. Yeah. Always have. They got the World Cup shit. And how much money do you think went into that? So I think that's what had a lot to do with it, more than them trying to just set it up for Gassiev. I don't think that was in the cards for it. It worked out that way because they had Gassiev, so Russia's like, fuck yeah, I'll put the money up. We got one of our own. So yeah, I could see now where that is, but I think that the initial thing was that it was a funds thing, securing the funds, because they promise a lot of fucking money. They promise a lot of money, and if you don't get it in hand, you got to figure out how to get it.
People got to remember, they had the money for Povetkin to fight Wilder. They had the money for Povetkin when he fought the dude that he almost killed, basically. When people say, even when you bring up the purse biz, you mess with them Russians, they gonna win. Yeah. Because they not playing with it when it comes to that. So that is part of their culture. Like, look, we gonna get this fight. Yeah. That's what is good. I don't care what y'all talking about. We gonna get this fight. They got the money for it.
So final, I need to pick, man. I need to pick.
I'm picking Usyk. It's just like,
Tight fight.
Usyk in a tight fight.
Yeah. So we're on the opposite sides here. That's good. That's good. One of us. Well, like I said, we both could be wrong, because if it's a 7-5 fight for Usyk, it definitely could come out a draw.
we both 51-49.
The only other fight. Now I'm gonna surprise you by saying this. HBO has a fight on. HBO is kind of like the PBC on Fox. You don't even remember that they do boxing until the fucking week of the fight. Jaime Munguia versus Liam Smith. Munguia looked like a monster against Saddam Ali, but again, it was Saddam Ali, a natural 147 guy. So, is he a big puncher? Yes. Was some of it a little bit exaggerated because it was Ali? Yes, because we saw what Jesse Vargas did to him. But Liam Smith, I mean, he's just gonna put his hands up above his face and just take punishment. And don't be surprised, because didn't he get stopped by a body shot from Canelo? Was that what he got stopped with Canelo?
I think
the
so.
Body shot. I think that's going to be the same type of thing again. Munguia will go to that with the high hands, the high guard. Munguia will go in there and just fucking destroy the body and break him down. It'll be about a 5th round stoppage for Munguia. We'll see where it goes from here, because there's really nobody else to fight at 154. They're all on the other side of the road, man.
One thing that you need to realize is when you get these guys from these not necessarily obscure to boxing places, or who represent places that normally don't win all the time, once their confidence hit the roof, wrong beside, like dude, just like, I'm gonna hold on to this belt. What's Tete?
Yeah.
Like, look, goddamn, I'm gonna hold on to this belt. So, Leo might look at it like, I can win this one. I'm not too sure about that. Because you can't say he caught Ali slipping, because
No, he didn't catch Ali slipping,
right.
But I just think Ali's a naturally smaller guy. He looked good against Miguel Cotto, who's not a big 54 anyway. He's probably more of a natural 147 guy anyway. So his performance to me looked better than what it actually was against Cotto, which in turn made Munguia's performance look a little bit better than it actually was against a smaller guy, and a guy who had been stopped by a smaller guy in Ali. So yeah, I think there's no doubt Munguia's going to win. It's just how and when. I'm going to say body shot 5th round. It could be earlier.
It could be earlier. So I go one behind 6, just in case, just to cover the spread. I'll take it at 6.
You brought up Rungvisai. He's fighting. No, people didn't even know that. I barely knew that by looking at it. It's a non-title fight. He's doing it the old Mexican style, getting that non-title fight in there. He's fighting at 118 for a 10-rounder in Thailand. Staying busy, I guess, while he waits for the Superfly 3 in the fall, or 2. Or was it 4? 3. It's 3.
It's
right?
3.
Yeah. Now, speaking of taking losses, Adrian Broner. He came here. He came to Houston.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. Got beat up by some rapper I'd never heard of, but...
Huh?
Yeah, you didn't hear about that?
No.
Yeah. Adrian Broner allegedly got beat the fuck up in the strip club out here. Because something tells me when Adrian Broner goes to a strip club, it actually is more like...
You know what?
Like, who was it that said strip club in the NFL back in the day?
I forget.
Was it Pac-Man? Might have been Pac-Man.
Oh, yeah, when he got into it?
Yeah, in a strip club.
Oh, man.
Yeah, so he took an L from a rapper I'd never heard of before. So in his last 6 professional fights, he's won 3 of them. He's won half of them. 3, 2, and 1. He got a draw, and a lot of people thought he lost the draw. He should be 3-3. In the streets, he's got a win in the bowling alley. Even though he took out the foreign object, he hit it from the referee with the pistol. But he took the L at the strip club in Houston. So, in his last 8 fights, he's only won 4 of them. It's not a good look when you can't even win street fights and you're a boxer, man. That's a bad look.
I'm gonna say this caveat, because I did not know that, but it's something that I do know, but I'm not really gonna speak on it completely. Another fighter came out here, and they tried to break up a fight at I don't know if it was a nightclub or a strip club, and they hang out together. So I hope it's not spillover that he actually wound up getting into a fight because they're mad about the other guy coming here breaking up a fight.
What would his past tell you? What would his past tell you it was?
Well, his past would say he running his mouth talking shit. But that's the thing, like, you know, the people who, wherever he went, it could have been one of those situations. We know he's going to talk shit back. So let's just go ahead and mess with him and get this fight over with.
Yeah.
So I didn't know that at all, but.
Yeah, I heard the name of the rapper. I've never heard of him because I'm in my 40s and I only know rappers from the 90s.
Yeah, see, I don't want to put out any name of the other thing because I'm like,
So Adrian Broner taking L's. The last bit of business, I guess. Eddie Hearn's finally signing some fighters. He's going to have a total of like 5 fighters to put on the zone. Mm-hmm. Sign Andrade. He's mandatory for Billy Joe Saunders. We already know he signed Jacobs. What was some of the other ones he got? There was no high-profile ones.
But the high-profile thing was the altercation at the press conference between Anthony Joshua and Big Baby Miller.
I think that I would say that the big announcement was the fact that Pavek and Josh was going to be on the zone, exclusively on the zone. So now I got to figure out how I can exclusively find the stream because I ain't paying that shit. It's funny because boxing takes, you know, they ran the fucking pay-per-view market into the ground. Pay-per-view after pay-per-view after pay-per-view. I think it was a few years ago there was like 8 of them, right? Pay-per-views.
Yeah.
But just insane. Just like, and now they've taken the streaming market, which is supposed to actually cut down on your bill. Now you got the ESPN Plus, $5. The Cloud TV, which is $20 a month, which is carrying the Gassiev Usyk fight for us in the U.S. You got the Zone. I'm seeing $10. I've heard $20. So that's $35 or $45 a month. That's a month now. That's not each pay-per-view. That's a month just in that. So the boxing is going to run to the streaming thing into the fucking ground eventually, and people are just going to be like, I'm good. I'm just going to illegally stream it rather than legally stream it.
The problem...
See, if you keep it down at the $5 range, I think you're going to get more people. But once you start getting them double digits, people get real finicky with that shit. They're already like, I'm already on the internet. I just go ahead and just click this button and get the free stream.
The problem that they don't want to face is your lineups are too small for this. Mm-hmm. You don't have enough fighters to keep up. So, you know, even if you start a streaming service or want people to pay for a streaming service, you know, you want them to pay $5, $10, $20 a month for a fight that might happen once every 5 months. They're like, well, I'm not getting anything out of these other months. You know, so until they figure out a way to, you know, these promoters are going to have to work with each other, because every time you have a service, it's involving your stable of fighters. Mm-hmm. But your stable of fighters, it may be only 3 to 5 of them that people want to see. So you might as well fight the other fighters in other stables so all of you guys can make some type of money together, because at some point, it's like... You know, remember how we was talking about the cross marketing with Mayweather and Pacquiao? Mm-hmm. It's like if the money's right, they got to make it happen. But they got to do the same thing. You know, if you want the money to be right, you're gonna have to cross market, and it's the wild west of the internet, anyways. Why would you not cross market? You know what I'm saying? You got people who are streaming. You got people who will buy it on both ends. You got, you know, domestic and foreign ways to pay it. So you got different ways you can get sponsors to come in. So you might have whatever's domestic for you, they can get some of the foreign money. Y'all got to figure this out, because I'm not about to, I'm just saying, me as a person, I'm not about to pay $10 a month for 2 fighters on 3 or 4 different promotional teams, and see a total of 6 good fights a year. Like, come on, man. Just common sense to tell y'all that y'all got to figure this out.
Yeah. It's just a way of them always trying to get into your pockets, especially when I can just pay my $15 a month and get all the channels for free, or, you know, well, for the $15 a month. Same fucking, you know what I'm talking about. People, you streaming people know what I'm talking about. God damn it, and it's a good quality stream for $15 a month. All right, we're gonna cut it there. 40 minutes. Fuck it, in and out, baby. The summertime is a fucking tough time, man. We got the Easter Garcia fight next week. We got maybe Kovalev in August, but until we get into the September area, it is light. And I don't even know what we're gonna do next week, guys. Cause you off next week, ain't you?
Yeah.
See, I had it different, so you're gonna be hearing another solo show, and that's how we got this one together this week. Cause I had the weeks wrong. I thought he was off this week, but nobody is, so he's off next week. JP, is there anything else, man?
Man, this is where the fighters fighting the fans commentate.
There it is. And we do it just like you for the cheapsies. We ain't buying no tickets, goddamn it. Peace.
Again, I'll be the next heavyweight champion. Call me crazy, but no one can fake me. I'm the product of the projects, lost and crazy. Throw your hands up, Mr. Bruno. Ride, Big Mike Tyson about to brutalize that ass tonight. No hesitation for the whole nation. I'll beat that ass so bad I probably violate probation. Through demonstration as I strategize information. Intensity